Hello everyone, welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. It's been a little while. Hey, guess what? I'm Captain Logan, and joining me as always is my son.
Guess what?
Who happens to be the chat moderator.
I happen to be?
Yes.
You just stumbled upon the fact that I'm the chat moderator.
Exactly.
I'm the cat moderator?
And the co-host, that he's got his own segment, and he's just really moving up in the world. Happy 2025, everybody. If you've not been on a stream since the year started, I have been doing stuff, but we haven't done this show since the beginning of the new year. And it feels like a Thursday because we got a new trailer for a superhero thing, for a Marvel thing today. And usually that stuff tends to drop on Thursdays, which was really nice. At least for movies and stuff. Maybe it's different for TV, but it seemed like we would always get trailers like hours before we'd start the Captain Logan Show when we had it on Thursday. And it's been on Wednesday for a while, and we'll get a drop, and then I'll have to wait several days before I can talk about it. So we kind of got lucky with this, that the Born Again trailer dropped just today. And I wanted to weigh in on it. I don't have a ton to say, but that will be the lead-in topic tonight. I've got a few other little news items I would like to cover, and we're going to open here in just a minute with a Patreon question. Welcome. Thanks for watching live. Thanks for watching after the fact. If you're doing that, you guys are wonderful. It's been a really good start to the year so far. I had a fantastic turnout on Sunday for the first episode of the single dumbest series I've ever started, Batman 89 489. Yes, that's right. If you've not heard, I am doing 89 Batman 89 commentaries. And if you're wondering where the first one is, you can find it on Patreon. So I am broadcasting those publicly to everybody. I keep saying this because I'm still running into stragglers that are confused about how I'm doing this, so I feel like I have to keep announcing it. But I don't want anybody to be confused. If you happen to be there while I'm broadcasting, right now I'm doing that on Sundays. It might occasionally be a Saturday, but I'm doing it real late at night. If you happen to be around and you want to hang out with me while I watch Batman 89, you don't have to watch the movie with me. I'm doing different gimmicks. I'm doing different topics related to the movie. I'm doing a real laid-back chat with everybody. So it is a hangout chat as much as it's a commentary. Anyway, you're not a patron, you can totally show up and hang out while it's broadcasting, but if you want to watch it after the fact, you have to become a patron at patreon.com/geekvolution, and it will be exclusive post content there, the playback at just the $2 tier. But yeah, I want to say thanks to everybody that came in for that first show, because I didn't know if there would be any interest in this ridiculous project, and it was wonderful. We had a lot of fun. We talked about people's first time seeing Batman 89. I'm not going to announce what I'm doing next time. Well, I say that. Maybe you know what? Maybe I will go ahead and announce what I'm doing next time. Next time I'm gonna watch the movie on VHS. That's the next thing. And so we will open it with the very popular commercials that everybody remembers, the Bugs Bunny commercial and the Diet Coke commercial. We'll talk about that, and then I'll watch it on VHS and report, how much grainier it looks than when I watched it in 4K on HBO Max. What else? What other kind of house cleaning and channel news? I've got a new production machine. It's wonderful.
That's why the jar has reset.
Yeah, that's why the jar has no bouncy balls in it, and we're gonna feel really insecure and like nobody loves us until there's bouncy balls in the jar. So no pressure, but if you want to throw in a super chat, we'll get to see the bouncy balls. Yeah, don't say that too many times. Anyway, so as always, super chat any dollar amount guarantees that we'll talk about your topic. We're going to do mostly news items for the first hour, unless we run out, and then we'll do some Q&A. But I'm the most long-winded person on the planet, so that's not likely to happen. I've got a few different things I want to talk about. It's been a while since I've seen you got your lovely usernames, and since you've seen my bizarre face. And then the second hour, we will do Q&A for the majority of the hour. Jason's going to do some kind of a trivia quiz tonight. He has not told me the topic for his segment, but I do know that it is trivia. And then we're going to do rants at the end of the show tonight. So it should be a fun time. So, yeah, super chat any dollar amount, or you can leave a regular question. As always, thanks for just being here. We appreciate you guys. You'll want to make sure to tag Jason in your question because he will be reading them. That's his one job. Well, that's one of his jobs. I guess he has more than one job. But anyway, so at Jason at Video Game Secrets or at the Rolling Stones. Jason will answer to any of those things.
The Rolling Stones will just show up and answer your question.
Yeah, they will. See, Austin's really sad that there's no balls in the jar.
They'll.
Before we get into the Patreon question, I wanted to read a comment that I got last week because it's one of the greatest Geekflution comments I've seen of all time. I don't do comment of the week anymore. Which sometimes I think about bringing back, but we don't get as many after the fact comments anymore.
This is the comment of the year.
This is comment of the year. Well, and I mean
it's January.
It's the start of the year, but I'll be surprised if anybody tops this. I don't even want to talk too much about this. I don't even know if I want to try to answer any of the man's questions. I just want to read it because it's wonderful.
Because I know the comment of last year was. It looks like the guy on top is talking to his past self.
That was a good one. With me and Austin?
Yeah.
Yes, that's wonderful. But I was going to say, we don't get as many comments after the fact anymore because we're mostly live stream now. And you don't tend to get quite as much, post commenting when there's a live stream. So there's not as much to curate, although we get lots of cool comments while we're broadcasting, so you could certainly go through those. But anyway, so I was thinking about bringing that back. DJ and I did comment at the stream for a while. Maybe we'll try to bring that back at some point. We have enough to keep up with. It's hard to remember to do that, but I don't know. Maybe at some point we'll do that. I wanted to read this one. It really made me laugh. And this was both really complimentary. Like, this guy had some nice things to say, and is also just really funny how baffled he is.
Okay.
I think Austin. Have you not? I can't wait to read this to you. Austin, if memory serves, said something along the lines of it's both like complimentary and condescending, like all at the same time. So anyway, I just got to read this, and nothing but love to this guy. This is from a commenter that I am not familiar with, Jake Thomas DO1YG, and he says, Cap, this was, by the way, posted on the first of my pop figure streams where I went through my Batman pops, and he says, Cap is such an interesting guy. How does he afford all these things? He has a huge family. Where does the money come from? Is his wife like a high-level executive? Just his physical transformation is also quite interesting. He hasn't really gained or lost weight in all of his time online in a hugely noticeable way.
Oh, no, that...
I don't actually agree with that myself. Does Cap work out? I wonder. It's so wild. He's such a turbo consumer nerd, but somehow not that cringe. Like, he should be super cringe, but he's not. And he's obviously very intelligent. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Thanks for that. And he's never had some weird emotional meltdown or weird political rant, and he's been on here forever. Such an odd internet guy. But I love him so much. Can't wait to see the movie.
Wait, so this is a fan?
Yeah, it is a fan. He's not trolling me. He's not like a hater or whatever. That is one of my favorite comments of all time. It's wonderful.
Wow.
He had, that was honestly pretty constructive.
It is, yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's
like,
weird.
Here's all the things I like about Captain Logan. Here's all the things that I think are really odd about Captain Logan, and then here's the things that don't add up.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I mean...
He seems like a real nice guy, but then you gotta wonder, how does he afford all that stuff? Where does he get those wonderful toys?
That was kind of
Should I answer any of those questions? Like, there's a part of me that just wants to. I do work out.
Okay.
I do.
That was kind of a burn.
You think?
Yeah, you haven't gained or lost weight on
I don't
all
think
of your time online.
I don't think it's a burn. I think it's more you would expect somebody that's been at this for 16 years to like either gain a lot of weight or because like I'm middle aged now. I mean like that's not an insult or anything.
Right.
You'd expect somebody like me to either and I did. That's the thing is that he must have missed a period where I was a little more heavyset. Because I did get some flack for that at one point, where it's like,
Right.
God, Cap, what's happened to you? Yeah. So it's funny that he said that, but like you'd think relatively, I guess that's sort of true. And like if you just saw me in the first few years, and then you just saw me in the last couple of years, you would think like, oh wow, weird, he looks not that different. But anyway, yeah, I don't think it's a knock so much as just you'd think that somebody my age would have either gained a lot of weight or would have bulked up a lot because working out a lot, because I was skinny as a twig when I started.
Senior Nerd says that should be the intro for your autobiography.
It should, yeah. That would be a great forward.
Cap is such an interesting
Such
guy.
an interesting guy. Yeah, can't wait to see the movie. But yes, my wife is an international spy who hunts down foreign terrorists for the government, and that explains where some of the money comes from. I can't say much more than that. And I work out because occasionally I get the cameo in her missions. Anyway, Jason, let's get a Patreon question.
Okay.
For to open the to
Basically,
double open the show.
Basically, she's Yor from Spy Family. Well, that's an assassin, but
oh, yeah, I don't know very much about Spy Family. But no, that's one of your favorite things.
I like it. All right.
Alex Barron doing 89 Batman 89 commentaries doesn't count as a weird emotional meltdown. Well, it's certainly not a political one. Go ahead. I'm making quite the statement with that. By the way, sorry. Before you read that, I have not submitted it yet, but I have begun writing my petition to be considered for a Guinness World Record for my attempt at 100 Batman 89 commentaries. Yep. It will have been 100 after I do the 89 because I have already done 11 on that same movie. And I did my research, and that is not yet one that they count.
Okay.
Either like fan commentaries on the same movie, or even just commentaries on the same movie. I didn't find very much about commentaries. One record I did find was most people in one commentary for a film, but like actually on a Blu-ray.
Okay.
And do you know what had it?
No.
Joss Whedon's version of Much Ado About Nothing. That was like a 16-member cast, and they all did the commentary.
They all did the commentary.
Which is one of the only Whedon things I've never seen.
That's crazy.
He shot it in his house. I've never seen it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex Barron, it's not about money, it's about sending a message, except it's for Patreon, so it's sort of about the money. Only in a very roundabout way, and I don't mean to be too apologetic about this, but the only real reason I'm putting up a paywall for that show, well, there's two, is A, I don't feel like I'm doing enough cool exclusive Patreon content, and I just want to reward the folks that are there already. So obviously,
so you get to watch him watch the same movie over and over again.
Yeah, congratulations. It's going to be a fun show, but it is. I have been advertising it quite a bit just so that people understand how to get those if they want them, but it's more just so that I wanted to come up with something regular I could give more cool content to Patreon, because I'm not doing After Dark as often, and we've done that show forever, and I just wanted something kind of new, but I wanted something that the regular viewers wouldn't be too upset was behind a paywall, so that's why I did that. And the other reason is because I was worried that there would be another contingent of our base that might be irritated that I'm clogging up the feed with commentaries of the same movie.
Yeah.
So if I make them and there's a way that you can get them, but they're not visible on the channel, we may not lose subs over it. That's part of it too.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's do a Patreon question.
Okay. This Patreon question is from Saqib Tariq, and he asks, what other comic book film could you do multiple commentaries on, like you're doing with Batman 89, besides any of the Batman films?
Yeah, what would be a movie that I don't think I'd get tired of, or that I think I would have, enough fun angles on, different things to say. I've always said this, the movie I've seen the most times next to 89 is 1990 Ninja Turtles.
Really?
Yeah.
I would get bored of that movie so fast.
Yeah, and it's from the same era. I would almost want to pick something that wasn't right around that same time. So even though I've seen that a ton and I don't get too tired of it, I like to watch that at least once a year.
I feel like you could have gotten tired of Field of Dreams, though, and that's also from the same era.
I wouldn't want to do a ton of commentaries on Field of Dreams, no. But yeah, what would be the other? And he said specifically superhero, right? Or did you just say another
comic book? I think.
Oh, comic movie. Okay. I don't know. The first thing that comes to mind is Watchmen, only because there's so much to say about Watchmen.
Yeah.
That I feel like I could keep maybe having some substantial conversation about the material if several times I did a 3.5-hour podcast on it. But I would end up branching off and not obviously just talking about the movie. And I wouldn't want to do it 89 times. Like I don't know if there's anything else that would make sense. Well, this doesn't necessarily make sense, but the 89 thing. But I don't know if there's anything that I feel like I could stomach that many times.
Yeah.
Or that I wouldn't be worried we'd all get really bored of.
And I was gonna say The Matrix, Alex Barron.
Ooh,
to it,
that's
but,
not a bad
it's not a comic book movie, but
if it was,
it's a
it's just a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, but
obviously,
I feel like
it has a lot of ties to.
You have a lot of stuff you could talk about there. And I've seen that a number of times, and I haven't gotten bored of that.
It's so weird. I don't think of myself as a big cyberpunk guy, but The Matrix is my favorite movie. So I don't know what that's about. But I also didn't used to think of myself as a zombie guy either.
And you like 28 Days Later.
Yeah, like Superman 2? Maybe?
Sure.
Like that's fun. I don't know that I would get
that at least has multiple cuts.
Yeah, that's true.
You can switch between them.
That's true. Yeah, I feel like you wouldn't want something too long. Might be cool because Batman's 2 hours. It would be cool if you come up with something that was short. It was like an hour and a half that you did it with.
Yeah.
But then, like, would it be meaty enough? Would it be substantial enough? Because obviously, 89 is not meaty when it comes to story or characterization, but there's just a bunch of little weird details, and so there's a lot of oddness to sink your teeth into. That's why that's fun. I feel like I'll have to just keep explaining why this is fun.
And with Batman 89, with Batman 89,
Take two.
It's with a lot of for you, it's very quotable. And it's just very memorable of a movie, and so you have so much of a knowledge about it already, so you can already talk about it a bunch.
Yeah. I'm going to put a different quote in the thumbnail every time and see if I can come up with 89 good ones.
There are 89 things that are said in the movie.
Yeah, the question is, at what point does it get so obscure that people are like, okay, now you're stretching for a thing that is uniquely 89? I think I can come up with 89 of them.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
And then you'll bring in one that's just from, like, it's just, like, a line from a Prince song. Like, it's not even in that movie.
Yeah, I can do that, too. But yeah, I guess Superman 2 is my answer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's probably the best one I've thought of.
Yeah.
That has come to my mind.
Okay, so Daredevil Born Again comes out March 5th, and we finally got a release date, which is exciting. I don't know if it's still 18 episodes or if they dropped the order. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look this up because I feel like we had. Would you look that up real quick and just to see what the episode order is? Because I thought maybe we got. I'm just forgetting now. I thought maybe they changed the order and it's a little less now. Because that was one of the things.
It will be 9 episodes.
Oh, it's only 9 now? They cut it in half, you guys. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that gives me more reason to be cautiously optimistic about this. Because the Netflix episode counts were notoriously too long. They were all 13, and they tended to usually be 2 or 3 episodes longer than they needed to be, until you got to the second season of most of them, and then they ended up feeling like twice as long as they needed to. And so yeah, I'm glad that it's getting a shorter order. It feels like a thing that could be really tight, really tightly woven. There's also a ton of stuff in that trailer. It could be just the right length, or they could actually be weirdly overstuffed. Like, it could go either way. 9 actually sounds a little short for what we saw in that trailer, I'm surprised to say. But I'm just glad it's not still 18. Because it sounded like originally it was maybe going to be a little bit more episodic, which is not a direction I was against or anything. But if they're wanting to really sell it on, no, you guys, it's an actual honest-to-God continuation of that last show. There's going to be no real ambiguity about what counts, about what's canon, about whether it's supposed to be those same characters or that flavor. I'm glad that it's more and more, just from what we've gotten from that trailer and with details we know, it's more and more feeling like they're maybe making the right choices to not just make it look like an inferior knockoff or a cheap imitation, because it could easily be that, and that was the worry with MCU, or with MCU with Disney Plus, was that they'd finally put their hands up in the air and go, okay, we're a little desperate. The Disney Plus shows have not been doing great lately. They're the butt of a lot of jokes. People are not impressed with a lot of their recent output. People have not been impressed with a lot of MCU's recent movie output. And maybe the part of the way to save this whole thing is to go back to something that was working that we abandoned. And so instead of reinventing Daredevil the way Feige talked about it very early on when the Netflix shows got canceled, when he said, we're doing something different. Everyone assumed PG-13 Daredevil. That's kind of what it looked like. Everybody assumed a reboot or soft reboot. It wasn't even for sure that Cox would play it again, at that point. I'm talking just after, this feels like 100 years ago now. But weirdly, like, it really does. It's like nobody's thought about these shows in the longest time. Now, all of a sudden, it matters again. It's going to, honest to God, continue. So the point I'm making is, it's really nice that so far, and again, I'm trying not to get my hopes up, because so much of what Marvel's been doing lately is floundering and is just forced content before it's somebody really had a vision for something. But it really looks like the people making this have reverence for that material and maybe understand it and maybe get why people like it, more than simply going, well, we've got to attempt to recreate this thing because that's what people actually want for Daredevil, but it's not anything that we understand or appreciate or that we have any passion about. And that was kind of my worry initially. The trailer's fantastic. It's exciting. And I was my eyebrow was already positively raised looking at the little snippets that we got from that like grand Disney Plus trailer with all of the, we did a show on that with all the output for this coming year, where we got some of that scene with Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk at the table. We get a little bit more of this now, of that here. I hope the whole first episode is just them sitting at that table.
Yeah.
Maybe cutting to subplots occasionally and then just coming back.
That'd be awesome.
That's kind of what I hope that first episode is. Austin and I have been debating about that, and his money is on that doesn't happen until the second or third episode.
Okay.
And I think it's in the first episode. I think it's going to set up the whole status quo for that world. But we'll see. It feels like the same show. It doesn't even feel ultra gimmicky or anything as like a legacy sequel, because at this point it kind of is a legacy sequel, right? And again, what I really expected initially, especially after they shot a bunch and scrapped it. Like, they shot some of their 18-episode show.
Yeah.
And then they started over, essentially.
Yeah.
We've been told that some of what they shot, they've been able to salvage. I think, but a lot of it, they just went back to the drawing board and they're like, no, we're making essentially, Netflix Daredevil season 4, and I just was worried that it was gonna be, like I said, cheap imitation, ultra watered down, and just because it's violent, just because it's rated R type material, does not mean that it won't be that. Because they could just really force that stuff and go, well, see, look, there's blood, and there's, people getting punched in the face real hard, and people getting stabbed and stuff. But, like, what's the story about,
Yeah.
And does Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock still feel like the same guy? There's a lot of imagery that suggests he gets brought to his lowest point, like you always have to do with Daredevil. We get flashes of Karen Page and Foggy Nelson again, who were infamously originally supposed to be killed off, like in the first episode. I think originally it was like off screen, and then, am I remembering this right, guys? And then it was like they cast them, but they weren't going to be in hardly any of it. And now I think it's still likely they're not big players in it. Like, I don't think they're supposed to be in very much of it. They probably get written out. But I doubt they get killed off screen. Maybe one of them will die. But I doubt it happens, like, immediately, first episode.
Yeah.
Everybody knew that Bernthal was coming back. I like that he's just front and center of the trailer, and they're not pretending like that's going to be a big reveal. I do think that there are characters from the Netflix shows that could be big surprises. My money is on Jessica Jones. I think she will show up. It's possible Luke Cage does too, but I really think we'll get Jessica Jones. It is surreal to me right now to even be having this conversation.
Yeah.
Really, like I never thought some of this stuff would come back, and I never thought I would care even if it did. And so far, what they're selling me looks as good as Daredevil season 3 did before that came out. Maybe there's some action here and there that I'm questioning whether it's going to be up to snuff. But yeah,
I wanted to read this. This is from Thomas Ledbetter. He says it feels like they're selling it a lot on the brutality. All I hope is that it still keeps the humanity and moral dilemmas where the violence actually has consequences.
Yeah, of course. So far, just from what we're seeing, I don't think there's any reason to totally assume that that's not going to happen. But, because, you sell it on... You sell it a little bit on action stuff, certainly. That's not a big surprise, but there is a little bit of a sense of some of what we might get thematically as well. And it's being careful to hit all the major beats of what Daredevil is usually about. That doesn't mean they won't be superficial. And of course, I'm just hoping they won't be. But I feel like as a commercial to sell a product, I think it does a really good job. Where it's like, fans of that show and Daredevil fans in general, don't worry, we're still doing lawyer stuff. We gotta have a shot of a courtroom. We have not forgotten that he's Catholic. He's got to have the line about he's always believed in grace, but he also believes in retribution. That is that character. But we are kind of just coming right out and saying this is what this guy is about. Mm-hmm. And you hope the show will get deeper about that stuff, of course. I wonder how much of the actual Born Again comic is influencing this, especially with some, again, notorious issues recently, or in the somewhat recent past, with mandates of showrunners not being allowed to read comics, or not, they're not wanting them to really adapt, like Secret Wars had this a few years ago now. And so I doubt that that's what's happening with this, but you hope not. But Charlie Cox has come on record to say, like, he read Born Again forever ago and loves it and is excited about it informing this, and he's saying that after making it. So I mean, it sounds like it will be more than a small influence on this. I gotta wonder if Matt Murdock's mother is going to factor in the story very much. So just a lot of interesting questions, but I feel like I have reason to be excited.
Yeah.
I need to go back through the show again. I'm very rusty. I don't remember much of season 3 at all anymore. I remember where we're left at the end, and it looks like we're setting up Born Again, and so it could be very seamless. You know, it could feel like we just finally came back to this world again, and here is season 4, and it happens to take place a few years later, and it's kind of fun that many years will have actually passed in real life, and so this is just where the story picks up. Like, there wasn't really a lot to tell before that, necessarily. Although, you assume that Daredevil must have been... I don't know that they'll say he's hung up his costume for all this time, because, well, and of course, if you're to take the couple of other appearances he's had recently, he didn't, right? Like, he's in She-Hulk, and you get the sense that he's probably still being Daredevil even when he's in No Way Home. But he's got this row of different colored Daredevil masks, which I thought was curious, because we've only seen him really in the one costume, and then the yellow suit, if you want to count that. So, like, and the yellow mask is there. So, has he had all these adventures in between? And then what will Born Again be speaking to exactly, you wonder, you know? And also, will that be a double entendre title? Because it looks like that could speak to Fisk as much as it does him.
Yeah.
And then there's, you know, the question of whether either of these guys is able to change, or if they're, you know, trapped in their violent, brutal, revenge-like nature, which the trailer is also kind of getting at.
Yeah.
I think it looks great. I hope it is great, and I'm trying not to get my hopes up. But it is the first Marvel Disney Plus thing that I have been legitimately excited about since the first wave of them.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that they have actually made a trailer that has gotten you excited for something.
Jason's not been doing a lot of talking because he doesn't know that show. So he's seen the first 3 episodes. We started watching it together a while back. He was not super impressed yet. But
I wasn't impressed until the 3rd episode.
It was starting to win you over.
Yeah.
So we will try to at least watch the first season together before that comes out.
Because the 3rd episode's the big horror one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm kind of a big court drama guy.
That's the stuff.
So I was like, yeah, finally, like, this is the part of the show that I wanted. So
Austin thinks we're still gonna lose Karen and Foggy right away. We'll see what happens with that. You did just get a glimpse of them, so that could go either way. I think it's also possible that they're kind of in the background to possibly be used down the road. Blue Dragon 5 says he suspects Jessica Jones will appear in season 2. I still think you'll get her like maybe midway through the season or toward the end as just like a big surprise guest star. Charlie Cox has been talking about cameos, and you're not making a big deal out of it like the cameo parade people keep complaining about with Marvel, but with just there are some faces you'll recognize, and it seems like he's not just talking about Punisher. So when he says that, I'm like, okay, who's it likely to be? There are, you know, all of the other Defenders, so it could be Jessica Jones, it could be Luke Cage. Carl Maxey says, will they recast Danny Rand? If he were to show up, that's a question. I would think they'd still bring back the original actor, but I don't know what he's doing now. Omari Daniels, Danny Rand will show up on a missing poster, never to be seen again. Senior Nerd, I think we'll get the comic book accurate Daredevil costume at the end of the series with the Daredevil emblem. That's entirely possible, although I think it'll be pretty silly that we've got this illusion to all these different costumes. And that finally, at this point in his career, he's like, okay, here's the DD, here's the Daredevil. It's looking increasingly closer and closer, I guess. I think the costume looks all right. I've never been the biggest fan of what their masks look like and the straps and stuff, but I like it better than that first season costume, which is pretty silly. Austin was complaining that it looks like Frank Castle is maybe coming out of Punisher retirement yet again. That's all they do with that character is like he hasn't been Punisher for a long time. Now he's Punisher again. It's like every time you see him, that's what we're doing with him.
That's funny. He got therapy like that one Tick character.
That's one of who is a parody of you're talking about Big Shot.
Yeah, he just went Big Shot, and now he's just like all smiles.
My favorite ex-gun-toting vigilante. That's one of those bits from a trailer where I'm excited about the lack of context. Why does he have a hatchet when Matt Murdock first runs into him? Why does he come at Matt with a hatchet? What is Matt doing and he's not in his suit? And he's like I don't know what's happening at all, and like that's fun. And the Mayor Fisk thing is the obvious next place to go. And I'm just so excited that D'Onofrio's going to get to play that.
Yeah.
And I feel great for D'Onofrio because I was embarrassed for him a while back when he just kept talking about the Disney Plus stuff on the MCU like you could just... It sounded like he was really in denial about all of it because it wasn't anything like up to the caliber that the Netflix shows were at their best. And I and a lot of people felt like he was written pretty out of character in a Hawkeye. I have not watched past the first episode of Echo, which is the other show that he's in, so I don't know how he's handled in that show, where he's blind and everything. I don't know where they're at with him now. It'll be interesting, by the way, to see if this show deals at all with aftermath of stuff with him that they've already done, because I think it's easy for people to forget or just not know. We actually have seen Kingpin since then. When it was more ambiguous as to whether it was even exactly the same character or not. Or if it'll just kind of watch seamless where you can either... Like, maybe it'll have its cake and eat it too, or it'll feel like it sort of fits both. But if all you watched was Daredevil, you get to this and you're like, hell yeah, nobody's seen Kingpin in all this time, even though we totally have.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll find out. But, like, he just kept doing all these interviews where he sounded... where he was just trying to get people to rally behind Disney Plus Marvel, and the stuff was just bad. And you could tell, or at least it seemed like, I don't want to put words in the man's mouth, but it just seemed like he was kind of anchoring for the glory days and doing his best to recapture that. And then I might be eating crow after this show. He might have actually kind of gotten it back.
Yeah.
I think there's every possibility, based on what we've seen so far, that this could be as good as Season 3. I think it's possible. If it's at least as good as 2, which is not great compared to the other 2 seasons of that show, I will be ecstatic. That is where
Was that a show that goes like this?
It does, but that second season is still better than anything of the second seasons of the other shows. And Punisher Season 2 is okay, I guess. Maybe the 2 seasons of that show were kind of on par with each other. Barring that, though, I think Daredevil Season 2 is a step down for that show, and still miles above most of the rest of those shows. Including Defenders, including the other seasons of Jessica Jones, including all of Iron Fist, including a season and a half of Luke Cage. So if it can achieve at least Season 2 Daredevil, I don't want to say greatness, but caliber, I will be ecstatic if it's at least that good. I think it's possible it's even better than that. Blue Dragon 5, Episode 5 of Echo is the big Kingpin episode. Thanks for that. I do want to finish that show at some point. I know people didn't like it. I thought the pilot was fine. But I only watched it talking over it. We did a blind commentary on it. And I was a little surprised by how much I was enjoying it. Blue Dragon 5, I feel like he's been in character, but in odd situations. I just felt like he was playing the character the exact same way in Hawkeye. He's just in that last episode. But the writing was not that character at all. Austin says the Frank stuff in Season 2 is also the best of Daredevil for me. Yeah, it's such a mixed bag, because that stuff is amazing. And then people thought the way they handled Elektra was a big misstep.
I didn't even know she was in that.
And people just did not care about the hand stuff. I did like that bit, though, where they're standing over the pit, and Daredevil, like, drops something, and they just stand there. They're waiting forever to hear it hit the bottom. And I can't remember if it's been so long since I've seen that, I can't remember if they wait until the next episode before you hear it hit the bottom. I think they might have done that, I can't remember. But that moment was pretty cool. Slipmaker, Iron Fist, showrun by the illustrious Scott Buck, who ran the last couple of seasons of Dexter. Yeah, that was one of those examples of failing upward real hard for a showrunner, but it didn't last forever. He did finally fade into obscurity, I think. I don't think he's doing anything anymore. He's also the guy that ran Inhumans, I do believe. Nobody likes anything that man has ever made, as far as I know. Cinematographic, is Elektra really that hard to write for? Yeah, I don't know. I didn't dislike her as much as a lot of people did, but I've only seen that season once, too, and it was a long, long time ago. Omari Daniels, after Daredevil, Defenders, and Iron Fist, we don't need to see the hand for a few years. Yeah, I kind of hope that doesn't feature in this season, personally. Sorry, Jason, now that I'm putting the comments on the screen, I'm not letting you do your job here.
Yeah.
Why don't you look back and see if any of these other comments are things we should hit, and we're at 40 minutes. I'll hit a couple of other news items here in a second.
We have a comment from Austin, the Day Ghost. He says...
That guy.
The 9-episode count has me more worried when the trailer has like 8 plot lines and Disney Plus shows have horrible structures.
That's a worry. Yeah, are they gonna spend the whole second to last episode of the season doing a backstory for some new major recurring character? Because they like to do that a lot. And is it gonna look kind of hobbled together from material they were shooting for an 18-episode show?
Yeah.
That could be a worry. So like I said, I'm trying not to get my hopes up, because I can see ways this could go south. But I also think there's every possibility it doesn't. And it could also be sort of a WandaVision situation. That is a good show overall. But it could be a WandaVision situation where it starts great and it just does not have a great ending. But then some people don't love the last episode of even the first season, so there's that. Okay, any other comments about this you want to hit here? Matthew Bass, I still think they might avoid religion in this show. I kind of doubt they will. I think that will still factor in. But I guess we'll see.
And Omari Daniels, speaking of religion, what about Matt's mom? She and Matt made peace at the end of season 3. Wonder if she'll be there at all.
Yeah, that was my question. Dragon 5, season 1 and 3 are perfect. 2 is still good, but the Punisher stuff is what season 2 should have been. I agree with that. I don't think 3 is perfect. I think 1 is as close to perfect as very much I've ever seen for comic book adaptations. I also think Penguin gets close to those heights.
I agree.
And we are supposed to finally do a spoiler cast on Penguin. Apologies for how long that's been. It's just been hard for me to find the time to do a rewatch for that.
Honestly, it's been taking me too long to find a worse thing.
But we are going to try to do a deep dive on that in a couple of weeks. So thanks for your patience on that, everybody. But yeah, I didn't love the way Bullseye was handled in season 3. That was my big thing, and I thought that whole subplot was
still didn't even get a costume.
I thought that whole subplot was a little long in the tooth. But again, it has been a while. Carl Maxey, the new villain, is called Muse. It was a big deal in the Daredevil 2016 run. God, it's just been too long. I have read that stuff. So thanks for reminding me about that. I may have to go back and look at that stuff. Omari Daniels, will Jennifer Walters fly from LA to New York for a rendezvous with Matt? I hope not. I mean, unless they just write her really well and suddenly we like that character more, but I don't need that. Okay, I wanted to. I'm going to hit some things as briefly as I am capable of. There is this isn't even an article. This is a lengthier Facebook post, but I wanted to read this because it's some good information about something that happened yesterday, and more articulate and more informative than what I could just give you off the top of my head. So this is from John Jackson Miller's Facebook page. John Jackson Miller is a novelist, but apparently, I didn't even know this, he has also been a comics journalist and has written about Diamond going back for decades. So he is a really good expert source in talking about the demise of Diamond. So Diamond has filed Chapter 11, is auctioning off its resources, and it sounds like their comic distribution could even be picked up by somebody else, Jason. So I'm going to go ahead and read the post that he made about this. John Jackson Miller also happens to be the author of the Batman Resurrection book that people are very irritated with me for not having reviewed yet. I'm just really behind on stuff. I'm close to done with that. I'm going to review that as soon as I can. It might be over the weekend, might be next week, but I should be doing an off-the-cuff discussion about that in the not-too-distant future. He's written some Star Trek books. I liked his first one quite a bit. I haven't read anything past that. He's known for Star Wars and lots of other stuff. But anyway, so I thought it was kind of neat that he happened to write this, and I've been reading a book by him that people want me to talk about. So he says, a difficult day. Let me zoom in on this a little bit so it's easier to read. Diamond Comic Distributors has filed for Chapter 11. This was yesterday. We just found out about this. For Chapter 11 protection. Diamond grew rapidly through the late 1980s to become the leading comic shop distributor, the sole survivor of the 1995-96 distributor wars. It lost what a lot of us just refer to as the comics crash. It lost most of its exclusive clients, starting with DC early in the pandemic, which was just crazy news. That's something I thought we would see for a long time, if ever, that finally Diamond was not the sole comics distributor. There have been a lot of people that have complained that they were a monopoly, that were really glad that there were other choices. There were some benefits and some drawbacks to there being the only game in town, and that is discussed a lot in the documentary I made back in 2014, the Midwestern Panels, which is now even a lot more dated than it was then. There's a whole section there with all of the comic shop owners talking about pros and cons and whether they were happy with Diamond as the only game in town. Diamond said, this is my reading Miller again, Diamond said it's received financing to continue to operate as it sells off assets. Universal Distribution, which once wholesaled for Diamond in Canada, has bid for Diamond UK and Alliance game distributors. Diamond is seeking offers for its comics, toy, and collectible lines, which is really sad. I love their plastic statues. I bought a lot of that.
Yeah.
Diamond points to the loss of its status as exclusive distributor for all the majors, which lasted from the closure of Heroes World in April 1997 to DC's departure to Lunar and UCS starting in April of 2020. God, it's crazy. It's been almost 5 years now. Following Diamond's multi-week shutdown early in the pandemic, founder Steve Geppi opened Diamond on February 1st, 1982 with one warehouse and 17 customers. But for the brief pandemic pause, it shipped comics ever since. Diamond's FAQ tells shops it will be continuing to operate with most things unchanged, but there will obviously be more changes to come. So yeah, I said their demise. They're still operating right now, but who knows what's really going to happen to them. Diamond had the main role in creating Free Comic Book Day in 2002. There's also a section about that in my documentary, quick plug, based on a suggestion by retailer Joe Field in my own comics and games retailer magazine. I didn't even realize that he was the publisher of that magazine, or the editor. It continues to be the organizing force for the day. It says it's exploring contingencies for the event in the future. Comics distribution as 2020 began had been stable for 23 years, but the first defection broke the dam. DC left for real in July 2020, and we covered some of this back when it happened, but I wanted to read this because it's nice and succinct, and some of you guys might not know this information. Marvel to Penguin Random House in October 2021. I forgot that's where Marvel went. I'm so out of the loop now. Followed by IDW in June 2022 and Dark Horse in 23. Image went to Lunar in September 2023. So I thought Marvel was still with them all this time, which makes it kind of surprising that they've held on as long as they have, even. Because that means they just haven't... They haven't been with the big two for at least a year. No, 2 years.
Wow.
Sorry, longer than that. Yeah, you said October 2021. That's crazy. It was big news when DC left, and then I never heard about Marvel. Diamond had supplied a lot of information about comic sales, which made it possible for my Comic-Con website to closely report how many comics Diamond sent to market. No one else reports. Diamond stopped monthly reports in April 2022, ending a long era of transparency. And I used to read those. We know less about comic book sales in the 2020s than in any previous decade back to the 1930s, which is really telling. Because there's a lot of fear that comics as an industry is just crumbling and isn't selling well enough to sustain itself, not just individual companies, but just as an industry. And if we don't know how the books are selling, that's just going to create more of that panic and that assumption. But even in this latter period, Diamond was sorting and shipping more different comics than ever before due to the vast number of variants. You know, one of the big things that kind of caused the crash back in the 90s, if only as a seller for companies like Marvel and Image. Oh, interesting. So they were still doing variants for the big two. Diamond still ran weekly reorder reports with Comic-Con, which Comic-Con still shares. At Comic-Con, I have archived... How does this guy have time to do all of this? Most Diamond publications, including previews, dialogue, and Dateline. I've also saved much of the digital data that it keeps public. Diamond made history, and a lot of it. I've covered Diamond for decades, since the very beginning of my career. All the boxes I use at my conventions are even Diamond boxes because they're the best. He's not wrong about that. And the Diamond name is on nearly everything in my office. I wish Steve and his team the best. Diamond's corporate history appears in a link in the comments, and you can go to Facebook to, again, John Jackson Miller's page if you want to take a look at more of this information. And hey, look, there's the Batman Resurrection book. So just some information about the seeming downfall of Diamond there. They're filing for bankruptcy. It's a sad thing, for the folks there and just for the industry in general. I know that there are a lot of people that won't shed tears about this, and there won't be love lost. It was kind of a 50-50 split down the middle with the comic shop owners I talked to back in 2014, and I realize this is a decade ago now, but at least at that time, there was a lot of complaint that if you weren't a big enough store, they didn't prioritize you, and there were a lot of late shipments, and there were a lot of incorrect placements, or I should say, excuse me, missing books, incorrect shipments. And then it seemed like the bigger the store I talked to, the more the better their relationship was with Diamond. So that may be a little bit telling. And I'm not trying to gossip or throw shade or anything. I'm just reporting that there are different, understandable feelings about this company. But more than that, it just kind of marks more and more like where the industry is and how much it's changed and how different it is from a decade ago. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
Okay.
Where are we at time-wise?
We're right at the hour.
Right at the hour. Okay. Any comments about this we want to hit?
Not really.
Dan's Den, Diamond ending, or at least going down like it has, feels like the end of an era. Yeah, it really does.
Oh, that's because my thing hasn't been going for the past,
Oh, it just wasn't updating?
Yeah. Hasn't been updated.
Slipmaker, the worst thing about the Penguin is that nobody's nose is gushing blood. Yeah, I guess that never happens.
Nope.
Bushy X, he has time because it's his job. Yeah, but he's also writing novels, and he's like a really prolific novelist. That's the point I'm making, is that he's got multiple jobs. Like, I didn't realize he was a journalist in any form. Like, I had no idea. It's crazy. Bushy X, yet the industry is big enough to sustain several publishers. Well, the question is how well it's sustaining it, or if it's kind of holding on by a thread. It's hard to know if there's not enough reporting. And to be fair, I have not been keeping up. So with what has been reported, I'm not in the know right now. But I have been hearing a lot of worry from people that do still keep up, that just, you know, the industry's not in great shape. I've also been hearing that a lot of material has gotten better, and there's more excitement for comics in fans that have stayed in than there has been in a long time, maybe. Not as much on the Marvel side, I guess. But yeah, Blue Dragon 5 says he's got like 6 kids too. Okay, well, I can relate to all of this. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna do.
You have a job.
I have sort of a couple jobs. Yeah, I do whatever this is, and then I gotta take care of you guys. And hey,
us guys, me guys.
When we get back, Jason's gonna do some sort of a trivia segment. I'm both intrigued and worried. We'll see what happens there, and then Q&A for the second hour. So if you are so inclined, no pressure, put in a super chat, any dollar amount. We will guarantee we'll talk about your fascinating topic. I'm sure
they're so fascinating.
Or ask a regular question, aim it at Jason. He will log them all and help get us to 2 hours. We've exhausted what we planned, and that means that it is now up to you. No, I'm kidding. I actually have more new stuff I can hit that I just
your turn
didn't quite get to. But anyway, hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. We look forward to this every week, and it's going to be nice to get back to weekly.
Yeah.
We'll see you again here in just 3.5, 4 minutes. Welcome back, everybody, to the second half of tonight's edition of the Captain Logan Show, and it's now time for Jason's Next Generation segment. So 10, 15, 20 minutes, however long he wants to take with that, and then we'll do a bunch of Q&A to end the show out. So once again, if anybody has questions or topics you'd like us to tackle, leave those right now. You've got plenty of time, super chat or otherwise. We appreciate you guys just being here, and now
and you want to change the thing to ask me anything?
Oh, thanks for reminding me. I'm gonna give Jason the reins soon so that he can deal with all of this stuff. So Jason, I'm a little bit concerned because every time you do trivia, I lose royally.
So we're back to the show. I'm very excited.
Should I assume that this is going to be another trivia question that's just I'm answering trivia that you're... Oh, no.
So we're back.
I'm horrified.
So we're back to this show, and I'm very excited, and this is the first show of the year. So I thought, for my first segment of the year, I'd bring back Cap's favorite thing.
Oh, no.
Superhero trivia.
Yeah. Which should be my favorite thing, except then he shows just how little I actually know. Now, when you say superhero trivia... It could be anything, so it's not just movies. It could be comics and stuff.
It's comics.
Oh, great!
TV shows, movies, whatever.
Great.
Basically, what's gonna happen is there are 12 questions. There are a couple questions where you can get bonus points.
That's good.
And if you ace everything, you get an extra point to get 15 points.
Okay. What else do I get? Like a cookie or?
15 points.
Oh, okay. Good. All right. Can I spend them? That was almost a Spider-Man 2 quote.
Are you ready for your first question?
No, but if I don't let you continue, we'll have dead air. So
that's a good point.
Go right ahead. Yeah.
Your first question is, what was the first Image Comics run?
The first Image Comics run?
Yes.
I mean, they would have had several things that started simultaneously, I think. But you mean, like, technically the first
Image comic
issue that came out for something?
Yes.
I'm hesitating because I don't want to get it wrong. Was it Youngblood?
It was Youngblood, yes.
All right, sweet. I got the first one.
Yeah. Okay.
That wasn't too tough.
Well, your number 2 is...
If it increases in difficulty, then I'm screwed.
As we all know,
yeah,
DC has a lot of characters named...
Should I disable the chat on my side?
Probably.
Because I got it before Austin said it,
yeah.
But just in the interest of fairness, I'm not going to look
and
at
you guys can play along,
this.
too.
Yeah.
Because he has his chat down.
Yeah, and I don't want you guys to not get to play along. So, for bragging rights to be the first person that said the correct answer. I'm not going to look at comments through this segment. So, if anybody has amusing comments I want to read after that, I will do that when we finish. Go ahead.
So, your number 2. As we all know, DC has a lot of characters named Victor. Name a Marvel character named Victor.
Victor Von Doom.
There you go. Name
DC
another character.
Victor
named
Free
Victor.
is in Marvel?
Yeah. This isn't for a bonus. This one isn't for bonus points. But
another Marvel
there's another
Victor.
One. There is another one.
Oh, I don't want to waste too much time.
Yeah.
Who is it? It's
Victor
not coming
Cree.
right away. Oh, Victor Cree. Sure. That did. Yeah, of course. That just didn't immediately come to me. Yeah, of course.
Okay, number 3.
Okay, sure.
What was the name of the story arc that took place throughout Season 2 of 90s Spider-Man?
Neogenic Nightmare.
Yes, there you go.
That's the only one that always sticks with me because it's hilarious. But Neogenic Nightmare is the answer.
You're a 3 for 3?
Watch me get all the rest of them wrong.
That's what happened last time.
Yeah, I was just soaring, and then by question 5, it was like, did you trade brains with somebody? You dumbass! What do you like? You don't know anything.
I don't even know if I tried to make this easier. I didn't like.
You weren't upscaling them.
I definitely wasn't making them harder, but I don't know if I was making them easier than the last time either. So I just don't know. I just kind of did a batch of questions.
I don't think you were. Go ahead.
Your number 4 is which Power Rangers season takes place in a comic shop?
Okay, I know Jungle Fury is the pizza place. The comic shop is Mystic Force.
It is.
Yes!
There you go.
I don't know much about that show. I know that, and I've heard of Udana,
Yeah.
and she plays well in the board game. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Your question number 5 is.
Well, this is where I was last time. I got 4 in a row, and then
Austin got
Then I was-
the first 3, and then said, "Oh God, Power Rangers, skip."
then I was just Victor Von Doomed. Anyway,
Your question number 5
Yeah.
is: what is the name of Bruce Campbell's character in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness?
Pizza Papa.
There you. Wow, that was good. You got that. Okay. This is our halfway point.
Pizza Papa gets paid.
Number 6. You were doing way better.
See, I'm worried though. At some point, I'm gonna fall off a cliff. Go ahead.
Number 6. What's the
These
name?
these are great, by the way.
Okay.
You always write really good questions, and I'm not just saying that because I'm getting them right.
Yeah. Number 6. What's the name of the?
You were my kid the way you write questions.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
What is the name of the Powerpuff Girls episode where Bubbles has to prove she's hardcore?
Bubble Vicious.
You got that. Good job. And it's funny because there's an episode called Bubble Vicious and an episode called Bubble Vision.
Bubble Vision, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One of them,
They're both great episodes.
yeah. One of them, she's in the danger room, and the other one, she has eyesight problems and has to fight the giant ant.
Yep.
And Bubble Vicious, she's hardcore.
Okay. Number 7.
Yeah.
In the episode Alone Together,
Yeah.
the Tick shows Omnipotus 4 things from his planet
Oh, no!
to persuade him not to eat the planet. What is one of the things he pulls out? Bonus points if you can name all of them.
I was worried that I was going to have to name all of
You
them.
get an extra point if you can name all of them.
One of them is paint by number covered bridge scene.
Yep. That's one.
Assorted cheeses in a handcrafted wicker basket.
Yep. Why do we have this, Arthur?
I've seen that too much. I know that verbatim. Plastic swords to hold our sandwiches together?
Yes.
Okay. And
So far, you're doing it backwards. And then the last.
can I remember the last one?
Which is the first one he pulls
Yeah,
out.
yeah. Hold on. Bowling
The
trophy.
bowling trophy, yes! Now you've gotten 8 points out of 15.
Oh man, I'm very proud of myself.
Your question number 8. Name at least one of the 4 comics sold at the first free comic book day in 2002.
That
Bonus points if you can name all of them.
That is a kick-ass question. I don't think I can do it. That's cool. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I can. The first assortment of free comic book day issues.
Yes, there are 4 of them.
Do I lose a point if I guess wrong? Or can I throw some
no.
things out?
You can throw them.
I think one of them might be Hush #1.
It is not.
Or not Hush #1, but the Batman number whatever. But the first issue of the Hush arc, is it not?
It is not.
Wow, okay. I thought that might have been there. 2002. Ultimate Spider-Man?
Yes, that's one of them.
I knew that was a big free comic book day issue, but I wasn't sure if it was that year. It would have been, though, because that was right around when that launches.
Yep.
Okay. I probably can't think of too many of the rest of them, so
Okay.
I'm just going to say that.
Okay.
What were the others?
The other ones were a one-off Star Wars Tales: A Jedi's Weapon.
Oh, yeah.
Another one-off Tomb Raider #1.5.
Crazy.
And
Okay.
Justice League Adventures #1.
Well, thank God Ultimate Spider-Man was in there, because I wouldn't have come up with those other ones. That was a neat question. Did you think of that because of the diamond thing?
Yeah,
Because
well,
it's crazy how that lines up.
yeah. I was just kind of thinking of comic things.
Yeah. But did you know that Diamond started for Comic Book Day?
I did know that.
Okay.
Yeah. And
It
then
just-
that came up, and I was like, oh.
That sounded like almost a honorarium kind of question.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Your question number 9,
This is such a good quiz. Go ahead.
and you've gotten 9 points. And your question number 9 is...
I should have more than that. I haven't missed a question yet, right?
No, you have not. This is your question number 9, and you've gotten an extra point.
Oh, 1 extra point.
Yes.
I thought I got points for all of the things that he shows him in Impetus.
You did. No, you didn't get points for
I thought I got 1 point for each
you got an
of them.
extra. You get,
okay,
you
go
get
ahead.
An extra one.
Go ahead,
okay.
go ahead.
Number 9. What was the Mask's original name in early comics?
Well, that makes me worry it's not the same thing as the movie. Is it not Stanley Ipkiss?
No. Well...
Oh, Big Head.
Yes.
Big Head. Sorry. You didn't mean...
I didn't
the person
mean
that puts
character.
on the mask. Yeah. Big Head.
Okay. Wow.
Which we don't even get a reference to in the movie, which is a little surprising.
Yeah. Okay, question number 10. What is the name of the DC superhero dog character that predates Crypto by 3 years?
Oh, wow. You might have got me with this. The DC superhero. I mean, the obvious thing to fall back on is Ace the Bat Hound.
It is not Ace the Bat Hound.
Okay.
That came out 3 months later. I think something like that.
I'm not thinking of other pets that are dogs. Okay, you got me with that one. Go ahead.
That is Rex the Wonder Dog.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have come up with that.
Your number 11. You have 2 more. Your number 11 is Betsy Braddock, the first Psylocke, was previously known as what Marvel superhero?
Wow. And that's not just like another Marvel girl, is it?
No.
Okay. You got me with that one too. I don't know.
That is Captain Britain.
Oh, that's Captain Britain?
Yes.
Okay. Didn't know that. Flat out have never heard that. I didn't know that.
And your last question, number 12. Quick, name 5 Green Lanterns.
5 Green Lantern. How quick does it have to be? So you got Hal Jordan. You got... Now I'm all on the spot here. You got Kilowog. You got... Sorry, I was not in the headspace for Green Lantern. God bless America.
Yeah.
Guy Gardner. And then... I can't think of Fillion right now. Like, I just can't even think of it. Oh, no, I said it. I said Guy Gardner.
You said Guy Gardner.
And then... I can't think of my favorite Green Lantern.
I can't think of your favorite.
Like,
I can never think of your
All
favorite.
of a sudden, I can't think of the man's name. I'm just blanking. How many did I say? 3?
You said 3.
Crap. I just don't want to take too long. I'm very on the spot. You're like, quick! And I'm like, oh no! I can't think of anything. Dang it. Yeah, I'm too on the spot. I can't come up with things. I had no problem with paint by number covered bridge scene. God, it's just on the absolute tip of my tongue here. Yeah, I don't want to sit here and have a bunch of dead air. I just can't think of it.
Well, your favorite Green Lantern is John Stewart.
John Stewart. Yeah, I just couldn't think of it.
And then the other big one is Kyle Rayner.
Yep. I was so stuck on John
It was
Stewart.
originally going to be
Kyle
5
Rayner,
Red
but...
Lanterns, so...
Yeah, and I'm so rusty on that. I couldn't do that right now.
So
that was really good. I was jumping around headspace with so many different things there. But yeah, like with Red Lanterns, it'd be like Atrocitus and then like the cat. What is the cat's name? Dexstar. Yeah.
And then you had said Supergirl.
Oh, sure. You could say Supergirl. And actually, I think Guy Gardner was one for a minute, too.
Guy Gardner was one. Yep.
And then Bleez.
Yes, Bleez. Yep. And
okay, I could have done that more readily than Green Lanterns.
And then the little guy.
Oh, the weird face that's sort of like MODOK, but not really.
Something. He has like he's like the something. I don't remember.
Yeah, I forget his name right now. But I just couldn't come up with it. In fact, I would have come up with Kyle Rayner
Zox.
probably faster, but I was so hung up on John Stewart. I was just sitting here like, what is the comedic talk show host name?
Lobo a Red Lantern at some point?
I don't think so. Okay, well, I think I got nearly the number of
11
points of the questions. Yeah, I got close. Senior nerd, Green Lantern is such a cat blind spot. It is. I mean, I know a lot more than I used to, but it's not a thing I'm a big fan of. So I gotta like switch gears to just even get into the headspace for that. You had all these people in the comments that were like, "Here's all these Green Lanterns real fast, you idiot." One reply is apparently a big Mystic Force fan. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get to some Q&A, folks. Jason, that was, I think, the best quiz you've written. This is a really neat variety there. And obviously he wrote it at me, so a lot of my favorite things were in there and stuff that some of you guys will not care about or know much about. But
you've never seen Mystic Force, so I did get something that you don't even know anything about. So.
Well, and I don't know. There's a bunch of X-Men that's a big blind spot for me, too. Sure. As soon as you said Psylocke, I was like, oh, God. I'm in trouble. Braden Atkinson, balls. a lot of balls. Well, there's only 3 really, but that's because we got a super chat. Let's go ahead and get into some Q&A, and then we'll round everything out at the end with some rants. We got a good half an hour, 40 minutes. We can do some Q&A here, so let's get into it.
If you could pull that up and I can read it. Robbie the Sky put in a $5 super chat. That looks really cool up there. He says, Robbie the Sky says, the writing for Sonic's movies/games has been great lately, but I'd love if you, but I'd love if you covered the IDW books. The Zombot arc is the best story in the franchise.
Wow.
The IDW comics pull some crazy stuff. Like, I've been looking at, like, Sonic stuff and, like, looking in the Sonic wiki and just really random, like, pages that I'm pulling up. It's like, oh, this character was in the IDW series. It's like, I'm sorry, like, the Witch Carters were in there? Like, you probably don't even know what those are.
I have no idea.
And it's like, I think Bean and Bark might be in there, and, like...
Yeah, I know they show up. So I gave Freddy one shot that they put out, like, or is it like a small collection? But it was a trade. That was like an anniversary. Was it an anniversary thing or what is it? I don't know. It was cool looking. It had like Metal Sonic and Metal Knuckles in it. It looked like it had some chaotic stuff. And yeah, I think Bean and or Bark were in that. I flipped through it. It looked really cool. I want to read it.
Yeah.
But to actually answer the question, yeah, I would love to review some IDW Sonic. It's crazy to think that Ian Flynn has anything left to say or do with that character. I mean, he's just been writing that stuff for a million years. Like, he went from Archie to IDW and just kept doing his thing. But everybody talks about it like it's been firing on all cylinders since the beginning. Like, like somehow he just got a new... I don't know, like a fire was lit under him, and he got kind of a new wave with it.
Yeah.
And I read some of the Archie stuff, like back in the early 2010s. I've reviewed
the Archie stuff was great.
I've reviewed the Genesis arc. I liked that a lot.
I loved the Archie stuff. That was one of the first books I really read, which is awesome.
If you and I could ever find the time, you'd probably be the person I would want to review some of that with.
Yeah.
We wouldn't go crazy and try to review everything, but I don't know if we'd, pick an arc like somewhere in the middle instead of just starting at the beginning. Like, I'm not sure how we'd want to do it, but
yeah,
we'd have to figure that out. But it would be a cool thing to do. There are way too many comic series that I've never talked about that I really want to. Austin and I are trying to get back to regular comic discussion. We've been doing some new movies and things lately, so we haven't been able to get back to it because Monday's kind of the night for that when we do it. But we will be reviewing the first arc of Skybound Transformers possibly next week, since we're not going to do Penguin yet until the week after. That might be the next thing we do. But that's Austin's pick when it's his turn again, and it is his turn, so that's what we'll do.
Oh, no, it's Austin's turn.
But I don't know, I could pick some Sonic on my turn next time. I might do that. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know yet. One reply, Mystic Force was the only Power Rangers that aired in Sweden when I was growing up. Oh, interesting.
Huh.
I wonder why that was.
I know there's a really weird thing. I don't remember what country it is. I'd have to look it up. I think it might have been like Australia or something, or some other place. I don't remember. But there was a place where they maybe somewhere in Europe, they would take the Power Ranger ship, like they would take random Sentai shows, but call them Power Rangers, but they would call them like, they would be like dubs or subs of the Sentai.
Oh.
But they would be called Power Rangers something, and it was never like
Well,
the
they're
actual
actually Power
names
Rangers.
of any Power Ranger shows.
That's
It's
fascinating.
just like something random and then Force, and it's like
I've never heard
weird.
that. This makes sense, right? This guy says Flynn got to write a Sonic that's closer to the games. I think that's what's inspiring him for the new stuff. Yeah, so I had heard that they had, like maybe less mandates on him versus at Archie, where like maybe they didn't tie his hands behind his back as much, and he had a little more free reign.
Yeah.
I think he was limited a little bit.
I'd like to read that stuff. Because I haven't actually.
And Saban really held Boom back with Power Rangers for a long time, where there were just a lot of really kind of arbitrary seeming rules with what you were allowed to do and not. Like there were like canon things you couldn't violate, and
which I think was weird.
That's why they had to start that as fitting in what we had already, even though we upped it to present day and then went between the raindrops.
Yeah. Oh, it was in Korea. And like instead of Mystic Force, they would just put it out Magic Ranger as Power Rangers Magic Force.
But still called it Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was just Sentai.
How would you feel if that was... This is not what they'll do, but how would you feel if that's how Hasbro decided to handle Power Rangers moving forward? Where they just throw their hands in the air and go, well, we're not going to spend the money to keep adapting it, and the deal with Netflix fell through, and maybe we can't find anybody else that wants to work with us with Power Rangers, so we're just going to give up, but we still have the license to use Sentai footage, so we will just air episodes of Sentai dubbed and call it Power Rangers. How would you feel about that?
Wow. Most of these was just, they would just slap Force at the end. They would just go, Power Rangers Engine Force, Power Rangers Treasure Force, Power Rangers Captain Force.
I know what some of these are too, because the Engine one was like that train show, right?
No, that's actually Go On, Drew. That's already
Excuse me.
Power Rangers, the Jungle Fury Sentai was put into Power Rangers Wild Spirits.
I wouldn't mind though if, of course, Sentai was just a little bit more available and shortly after it airs there. Mm-hmm. Like if Hasbro or whoever was to start putting that on streaming services or air it somehow, and not call it Power Rangers, but still dub and or sub it. Or I should say sub and or dub it, because they're going to be pretty bad dubs. It would also be pretty cool if you had some alum Power Ranger actors come in to dub Sentais.
That would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be cool?
That would actually be really, really cool.
Just a second here.
They wouldn't have thought of it.
Who's the actor who... well, and I know that sounds awful, but... you wouldn't have to pay him as much as some other actors. Like it would be a cost-effective way to do it, and it would get that sounds awful. Like you should pay people what they're worth. You know what I mean? But they wouldn't be like massive celebrities that would command ridiculous sums. Most of them. Who's the actor who plays Adam? Why can't I think of his name right
Johnny
now?
Young Bosch.
Yeah, Johnny Young Bosch.
He's a great
he's
voice actor.
Already a voice actor who's done a ton of anime.
Yep.
He would love that.
Yep.
Like, you wouldn't have to twist his arm at all.
And he's come back for Adam as a voice actor.
Yes.
Like, for Power Rangers.
Because he did it for Battle for the Grid, right?
He's done it for multiple video games. And, like, many video games.
Yeah, well, it's his job. That's what he does.
And he's voice acted for other characters in Power Rangers, like, video games. And he's come back for multiple things in the Power Rangers show.
You should do that. How cool would it be if you took, like, the most recent Sentai or, like, a beloved one that we never did Power Rangers with, and we dubbed the Sentai, and, again, didn't pretend it was Power Rangers, but did an eclectic mix of Power Ranger actors from across the decades.
Yeah.
And you made your cast out of... The rule would be each Ranger would have to be from a different show.
Yeah.
And then you bring in some of... Well, I was going to say you'd bring in some of the actors that have voiced villains to do the villains. But you might have issues because of actors that, are still in New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of the villains were just, like regular New Zealand day players and stuff.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about it too is you could have people just do their performance from wherever they are. So you might still be able to get some New Zealand actors to do it. I just think that's a cool idea.
We got to do a
Sentai stream?
A Sentai commentary stream.
Yeah, we do. I still don't know which one we should do.
We gotta do my favorite, which is Die Ranger.
Hayden Spring, I show up randomly and they're talking about Power Rangers. It's like I was summoned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but the odds are not crazy either, right? Like, it's me and Jason on the second half of the Captain Logan show. Invariably, Power Rangers is going to come up. Hayden Spring, yes, you do. We have so much Power Ranger stuff we want to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been threatening with John to finally review Shattered Grid for like months now.
And he's right. Gokaiger's the big one that I haven't seen any of.
Remind me, which one is that?
That is Super Mega Force.
I cannot keep them straight. Yeah, people love that.
Yeah, Die Ranger's my favorite, and I really like Deca Ranger. Not Deca Ranger. The space one.
I really like the space one too.
Deca Ranger's SPD, I still haven't seen that.
That's one of the few I've actually watched a decent number of episodes of.
The Anubis Kruger in the SPD one, it looks just really silly.
Should we get to the super chat?
Let's get to the super chat. This is from One Reply, and he put in a super chat. And he says...
The dollar amounts on the screen now, which is nice. I don't even remember what SEK is, do you?
It's South something.
Yeah.
He asks, which Western franchise deserves an anime adaptation next?
Yeah, an anime adaptation. Because, like, we do manga adaptations for lots of things.
Finally got Terminator. That was the big one.
Yeah, and after Terminator, I was like, do this with everything.
Do this with everything. I mean, RoboCop.
No, you're right. I wasn't even thinking about that. Yeah, RoboCop would be great.
You got to do the Netflix anime for everything.
I really like
that style.
I like the Transformers one. Okay.
Okay.
Obviously, Castlevania's beloved by a lot of people. I like that show quite a bit.
Well, I love a Metroid anime.
There have been attempts at some Marvel ones, and none of them have been especially well liked. I think you could. I just have this on my brain.
Anime?
Yeah, I just have this on my brain. I think you could do a really cool Daredevil one.
That's what I was thinking too.
That could be neat. But yeah, what's the definitive frame? I mean, I wouldn't mind going back to the Matrix. Like
yeah,
that already has
still
that. With
never seen it.
Animatrix. That already has the vignette film thing, but it'd be cool to get like a miniseries.
One Replies right, a Fallout anime.
Oh sure. And I don't know anything about that. But I know you're a big fan of that.
Yeah, I was thinking of Fallout a lot when I was watching Terminator.
I'm surprised. I'm not even saying I necessarily want this. I'm surprised there hasn't been any talk about a Walking Dead one.
Yeah.
Just as popular as that is.
Yeah.
And Walking Dead's been on Netflix forever. It's not a Netflix show, but I can see them getting together with that. It'd be really easy. But yeah, I'm trying to think. What's a
Breaking Bad.
What's another just like great sci-fi show? Oh, you know what would be interesting? An X-Files anime.
No, an X-Files anime?
Yeah.
Huh.
That'd be
A
cool.
Sequest anime.
Nobody would watch that though.
But yeah, no, an X-Files anime.
Hey, they put out a Spider-Man manga called Spider-Man Fake Red that was decent. I'd like to see that adapted.
Fake Red.
Yeah, there's a lot of like American superheroes turned into mangas that I've just not read.
You gotta read all of them on stream.
Okay. I'll get right on that. Give me a second.
Yeah. What's weird with American comics to manga is it looks like the American comic.
Not always.
But I mean with this one,
which one are we talking about?
Spider-Man Fake Red.
Oh, you're looking that up, yeah.
It's weird because they're very American designs.
Yeah, I need to give you the help here because you look it up and then we can all look at it. One reply, more TMNT anime. Has there ever been one? What do you mean by more? Like, is there something I'm not thinking about?
A reboot of Powerpuff Girls Z. Yes.
Sure. Austin, Walking Dead really died quick in popularity, and it somehow has 800 spin-offs that no one is watching. I don't think that's entirely accurate, Austin. It stayed really big in comics kind of all the way through. Like, it still had a big readership by the end when it was surprisingly canceled. And you might just be talking about television, and yeah, people turn on the TV show pretty quickly. So it is weird that that it got all those spinoffs and that somehow that's lucrative enough for them, I guess. It's kind of that Star Trek thing where it's like nobody seems to be watching those, but they keep pumping them out. So I don't know. But I'm just saying Walking Dead as a comic franchise is still well liked and popular enough relatively that I can see it getting the anime treatment. One reply, wasn't there one in the 90s?
Okay, so
not that I know of.
So
there was a Ninja Turtles anime?
There was an OVA.
What? I didn't know this.
96 that featured most of the same cast as TV Tokyo's Japanese dub of the 87 show. And it looks like there's like this big robot that looks like Wolverine. I don't even know like what it
Weird. Okay, I'll look this up real quick.
The first episode is based on the Super Mutants line, while the second episode is based on the Metal Mutation line. And it's called Mutant Turtles Superman Legend.
Is it this?
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know, that's weird.
And they fight this like robot. Yeah.
They kind of look like they're just wearing costumes. Like they're not actually turtles. Why do they have shells like on their shoulders?
And like they're not always that, but like the first
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. That's very strange.
That's wild.
We got a $2 super chat from Robert Wild, and he says, I just want a standalone Daredevil animated series.
Yeah, I'd like to see that too. It doesn't have to be an anime. But yeah, it is high time we finally had that. And you could make a really cool, atmospheric, stylized series, of course. I know I always go to this. I'd love it to look sort of like the old Spawn HBO show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I also wouldn't mind if some of the guys that have worked with Bruce Timm pivoted over to Marvel and did that. You know, in a similar, but it doesn't have to be exactly the same, kind of angular Bruce Timm style. Which again might sound obvious, but it'd be interesting to do it now.
Yeah.
You know, they had to kind of twist his arm to even make Cape Crusader because he didn't want to do more animated series, and he was like, "Well, if I can do a completely different show, I guess I'll do it." I wonder if he would have, if he would have done a Daredevil show if somebody brought him that.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if he would ever consider working
If you
for
would want to
Marvel.
do it.
Robert, why do they have Wolverine masks? I don't know. We should find that. We should do more weird blind commentaries on crap nobody would watch otherwise. I wonder if there's anyone to watch it. We'll have to look for that.
Yeah.
Robert, even the show was super popular for a solid 8 years. By the end, it had decent viewership. Is that true? Sometimes you hear, he's talking about Walking Dead, sometimes you hear enough fan complaints about a thing that unless you go and look directly at viewership, you would just assume nobody's watching it. But it did seem like everybody had turned on it by then. Yeah. Well, that's what's weird about it, though. Because Austin's like, well, Walking Dead, people stopped being interested in that after a couple of years. But then remember how huge Negan was. Mm-hmm. Like, that thing was, like, that character was everywhere. It was, like, merchandised up the wazoo. So I always thought maybe people came back for that and then dropped out again. Hayden's bring back Wheel of Crisis, but just for Power Rangers. That's not how I would want to do that. If we ever did something like Wheel of Crisis again, it would be... we would spin the wheel for multiple episodes on a show, or we would spin it for multi-parts or something. Because now that we pretty much just stream, we're not going to show up for a 20-minute stream. Like, it would need to be an hour or two. So I would not be against that necessarily, but what we've talked about doing is like select episodes for a season. But do a lot of it,
and then do a big like day long, like half a day of just that season. But we just pick select episodes.
So you wouldn't do the whole season, but you do the big stuff.
Yeah,
and
we
some
don't. We
some other
just
episodes.
skip like the filler episodes.
Yep.
Or at least like the really small filler episodes. It's like, why do you even need that?
But they'd be full marathons.
Yeah, they would.
So it'd be like the Smallville streams, but maybe a little shorter. It'd be like 8 or 10 hours probably.
Yeah. Space Reps SPD might be harder because there's just so little filler episodes.
Austin says Negan was weirdly super popular and where the show had a max exodus. Yeah, but Austin, that was like season 6. Like, I feel like a decent amount of people were sort of done with it before that and then maybe came back. I don't know. Because I think that show really ebbs and flows. I stuck with it, but I kept like taking a year or two off from it and then coming back. So, I watched the first couple of years and it's really good, and then it gets really dull and just sort of sits there for a while. And then it comes back around, and then it falls off again, and then it comes back around. Mm-hmm. That is a bipolar show. Okay, Jason, we've still got about 20 minutes left of the show. Are there other questions from earlier that you want to hit? Do you have anything there?
Not much. I mean, we still have Patreon.
Okay, I'm gonna hit. Why don't we go ahead and do a Patreon question then, just so we can make sure we're keeping up with that?
Okay.
And then I've got a couple more news articles we could throw in here real quick.
All right. Well, we have a question from Darren Dooley.
Yeah.
Do you think there will ever come a time when there are more video game movies than comic book movies?
So the short answer to that is no, because comic book movies have... Well, no, it's not about that. I mean, it doesn't really have anything to do with the quality of it. The percentage of bad to good comic book movies is way up there. You know what I mean? But comic book movies have decades on video game movies, and we've just made so many of them at this point, and also we've had a big change in format and sorry, I'm just dealing with this stupid cold still. We've had a big change in format and platform, right? So it starts to get murky with video game movies because we've had more now that people have actually liked. There was a good long period of time when everybody felt like there was not a single good video game movie, or there were very, very few. And we've had not a renaissance, but finally a few decent ones. But a lot of some of the stuff that people have liked the best have been on television now, and it seems like it's about a 50-50 shot right now whether a video game adaptation is going to be for the big screen or is going to be a miniseries or even an ongoing series, right? So because of that split, even if video games as a thing to adapt were to become a lot more popular than comic books, you're never going to have more video game movies than comic book movies, because at least half of them, maybe less than that, but I would say a lot of them are going to end up as series before they're going to end up as movies.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe I'm quibbling over semantics. If you want to just say more adaptations, regardless of whether it's television or movies, TV shows cost more and they take longer to make. So you're still not going to get more, because even now, with superhero movies not being as popular as they used to be, you still get 3 to 5 to 6 to 8 a year. If you count everything.
Yeah.
And that's not happening with video game adaptations yet.
Yeah. Not yet.
I don't know if I see video games as being the thing that gets mined the way comic books have, because we're never going to make video games just to be optioned the way we do with comics, because there's always going to be more money in movies than there is potentially in comics. That's just the nature of those industries. That's not true with video games. The video game industry is arguably still a bigger money-making industry even than movies is. And so and they're very expensive to produce. So nobody's making a video game just hoping it becomes a movie like we do with comics. So we are still going to that well a lot more now than we ever used to, but I don't see it ever being the same as it is with comics. And like, there are lots of franchises to mine, and there's lots of old IPs that nobody's doing anything with now. So we could at some point start to get desperate enough for material that we go, let's make the Bubsy movie.
No!
Let's make the Echo the Dolphin movie. You know, whatever it is. That stuff can happen. I don't think it's ever going to be like with superheroes. And the only way you'll get close to it is if you were to have something as massive like a shared universe as MCU.
Yeah, and the biggest that they can go with that is obviously Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, like Nintendo could make a shared universe, but are they ever going to pump them out the way Marvel has?
No, they won't.
I don't see that.
That's not how they make
the
movies.
The Mario movie was huge, and we don't even know when a sequel is going to happen.
Yeah. We know that, I mean...
That was massively successful.
Like, we do know that. But they're as careful as they are with their movies, they're not going to pump them out like Marvel did.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
So, yeah, short answer is, I don't see how that could ever happen.
Yeah.
If we're just talking, like, dollars to donuts, if we're just talking numbers, how could you ever have as many video game movies as comic movies? How is it possible?
Yeah. I mean,
you
there
have,
are
like,
a lot of video game properties, but it's
yes,
just
but comic movies would have to stop being made.
Yes.
And then video game movies would probably need like 20 years to catch up. Like, how many movies, and he didn't say superheroes, he said comics. Yeah. How many movies based on comics exist? 400 now?
Yeah.
But, like, especially if you count direct-to-video, if you count animated stuff,
yeah.
DC's already got you by 50 movies.
Yeah.
Already, just with that.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on how you define it, too. I suppose. If you want to say just live action, just on the big screen, you know, start whittling it down, it still would take you forever, and you would have to stop making comic book movies, which isn't going to happen anytime soon.
We got a $2 super chat from Robbie the Sky. And he says, last Sonic thing, did you see the F4F Metal Sonic? It's pretty.
What does that mean? What's F4F?
First for Figures.
I've never even heard of this company. Yeah, let me look that up. Okay, yeah, I've got to start giving you the helm so you can just pull these things up here. I don't like that you're showing me this, because now I'm going to want it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
It's really pretty. And I didn't know about it until
So is that a statue?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the good news is I don't go after these kind of statues because they're just way too expensive and it's not worth it to me, as pretty as they are. But, like, I don't need resin statues. I don't need ceramic statues. I don't know what this is. It's probably resin. Right?
It's metal.
Good call. Although, I will say, a metal Sonic would be really pretty freaking cool.
Really, really cool.
No, it's gorgeous. It looks great.
It looks really good.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. No, I did not know about that.
Yeah, I didn't know about that until this guy's comment. This person's comment.
Well, thanks for showing us that so we can drool over it, then promptly decide not to buy one. It's like $400. Yes, Hayden, I actually did like 20 minutes in the first half about Diamond Going Chapter 11. You can watch that later if you're so inclined. But yeah, I read a post that John Jackson Miller did about that was very informative. So go check that out. Okay, let's go ahead and close out the show now with rants. And if anybody wants to ask anything else or throw in another topic, we may be able to get one or two things more at the end. We got a little bit of time left, but we'll go ahead and start getting to rants. And I want to hear from Jason first.
Sure. So my rant is something that Dad can agree with.
Oh,
even though he doesn't know anything about this thing, but he still will agree with me.
All right, sure.
Okay, so I just heard about this, and apparently this was announced like last year, but like in like October, or is it November? But I didn't know about it until now, and they're putting it out sometime this year. They're doing a new thing with Magic the Gathering.
Oh, okay. I know where this is going.
They're doing frickin' SpongeBob.
What?
Yeah.
They had some things I thought were already a bridge too far. That is...
So they've gone too far.
That's a mountain too far.
And so my rant is Magic the Gathering needs to stop with licensed properties. It doesn't even make sense anymore.
It sounds like they're just licensing whatever they can get their hands on.
That's not like... And it just comes off as lazy. It comes off as you're not creative and you can't come up with new characters, and so you got to use licensed properties that will get you more money, as much or more money. And
I wonder how much of it is creative bankruptcy and how much of it is just they know it's lucrative.
Yeah, but that's what it comes out for me. I would rather more creative characters that are like new characters that they come up with than licensed properties.
Yeah, but I'm just saying name recognition sells.
Yeah. And I'm not going to buy it, so.
Well, you're also not a SpongeBob fan.
Yeah.
Hey, but, okay, can I ask you a question, though?
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you, but I want to play devil's advocate for a minute. And I want to ask you, or not even devil's advocate, I want to ask you, because I already thought the licensed property thing with Magic was weird. And I've argued with people that love it when it's properties that they're fans of. And I wonder, with you, Jason, how much of it is just... SpongeBob doesn't sound like a thing that fits at all remotely in that world, and not a thing that you're a fan of in the first place, or world, game, whatever. And how much of it is, if it's a property you love, it's fun if it's in Magic, but if you don't, you're like, oh, what is this doing in my game? And I'm saying that from my own part. Now, I don't play Magic, but when I found out they had Jurassic Park cards, my first feeling was, oh, cool, Jurassic Park, that might be an in for me. And then I thought about it and I went, the hell does Jurassic Park have to do with Magic?
It doesn't have anything to do... I don't know...
It's Magic. There's no there's nothing mystical about that.
Yeah.
So I'm just asking you, does that bug you?
It didn't bug me as much as the latest couple.
Like what?
Like Marvel and SpongeBob. But because I mean I knew Marvel was gonna happen, but then they picked the lamest characters. Like they just picked like 5 characters and were just like, or like, but they make such a huge deal. Like it's not a big deal, because they only do like a few cards, for some of these. They only do a few cards. I'm not sure what it will be for SpongeBob. But for Marvel, they only did a few cards. But they didn't even do, like, Doctor Strange.
I know.
It's magic.
That's the thing I didn't get. They didn't pick any mystical characters at all.
Yeah. Black Panther.
Didn't make any sense. They did Iron Man.
Yeah.
For magic. And Black Panther, and I forget who else. But, no, it was stupid.
Yeah.
At least stay on theme.
Yeah.
You know? It's like magic is gathering things that have nothing to do with magic.
Yeah.
It's like what makes it magic is that magic did the gathering.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't know. I think it's stupid. Now, I don't have a dog in this. I don't play Magic.
You gotta learn Magic. You gotta learn the one deck that you care about, which is dinosaurs, and then just do that.
That's probably what I would do. And I don't have a problem with dinosaurs being in Magic, but it is a little bit odd that that Jurassic Park is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like you're really diluting your whole thing. Like it's just about what random IP is. And
for the longest time, and the problem is...
Let me say this. I'm an absolute hypocrite because most of the tabletop I like is licensed IP stuff. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going into other games because IP shows up in it. I'm starting with things that, well, for the most part, I'm starting with things that it was that IP in the first place.
Yeah.
So like Power Rangers was a different game. It was Power Rangers in the first place. And I guess I have that with Zombicide, but I think it is fair for Zombicide to get other zombie IPs.
It's Marvel Zombies.
And then make brand new games out of them. It's not even we brought it into our game and it's imposing itself on it. It's here's a variation that only plays with itself. And honestly, it's kind of okay if they mix two. At least it's all zombies. Right?
Yeah.
I still think it's weird that Magic ever got other IPs.
For the longest time, they never did it. They wouldn't even do anything D&D, which is they're the same guys.
Yeah.
Like it's the same company, and then they did D&D stuff, and then they pulled in others, and then they started doing other stuff.
Well, I thought it was a mythology. I thought it had its own characters in like species and ideas.
Like Ravnica
it has
and all
novels
this.
And stuff.
Yeah,
and it has a very distinct art style.
Huge art books that have like a big like lore inside of them that are awesome.
Yeah,
and I don't know what is like how does SpongeBob fit into that?
It would be like if Warhammer went, oh no, people don't care about Warhammer anymore. We've got to start bringing in Halo or whatever.
Yeah.
And then once they did that for a while, and they were worried that people were losing interest, they went, what if Warhammer brought in Dexter's Laboratory?
My Little Pony.
Like that. Yeah. Like that's what that would be like.
Yeah.
I think that's very strange.
But I mean, you didn't get into Power Rangers because of because it was another thing and then it turned into Power Rangers, but you're also not getting the other things that they're doing with that.
Well, that's true, because they're doing G.I. Joe, and I don't care about that.
Yeah. Like, they've made other licensed things based off of that game.
But that's just using the same game design, as opposed to, now all of a sudden there's G.I. Joe in my Power Rangers. You know, not like when we threw Street Fighter into Power Rangers.
Right.
For no good reason. Just because it's fighting, but it at least has more to do with it than SpongeBob has to do with friggin' magic.
Yeah.
I can't deal with that. Now, you said that they usually just make a few extra cards. There are some where they do whole decks, right?
Yes.
Like Lord of the Rings has a whole deck.
Lord of the Rings had whole decks. Doctor Who had whole decks.
In Lord of the Rings, I can
Fallout had
respect
whole decks.
more because it at least sounds like it's in the same genre.
Mm-hmm.
If they did Harry Potter, I'd roll my eyes, but like, it at least sort of fits.
Lord of the Rings kind of fit. Doctor Who didn't fit.
No, why did they do that?
I mean, it was.
You said it was cool.
It was good decks, but.
Okay, well, I'll go do my rant.
Okay.
So I just bought a new production machine. I talked about that at the beginning of the show, and as I was researching to figure out what kind of machine I was going to buy, I was reminded.
Are you gonna do a rant on a Windows 11?
No, I'm not going to rant about Windows 11.
Okay.
I don't love Windows 11 compared to 10, but that's not what I'm going to rant about. While I was researching machines and looking at sellers of all types, I was reminded of a thing that's been happening for a long time that really irks me with both resellers and regular retailers when it comes to both desktops and laptops, which is the term gaming machine.
Okay.
We will call damn near anything a gaming machine in order to sell it and make it seem more powerful than it is.
Yeah.
And it really bugs me because a gaming machine suggests that it's going to be powerful to run next-gen games. And if you just throw that in the title on an Amazon ad or on Facebook Marketplace or wherever it is, you're more likely to get people to look at it because that seems code to people, especially that don't know anything about specs, aren't looking at specs, that, well, if it's a gaming machine, it must be able to run games, which is not true because I have seen lots of things called gaming machines that have crap graphics cards. And by the way, I'm not a specs guy. I've had to learn a little more than I used to know in order to figure out what to buy for myself because what I do requires a little bit more processing power and a better graphics card and more RAM than if you had a machine just for mostly like watching Netflix or word processing and that kind of stuff. Like, it is a lot of demand on your on your processor, on your RAM, on your graphics card to do video editing, obviously. But even streaming, I have learned, is more taxing on your machine than a lot of other things are.
Yeah.
And I mean this kind of like live streaming, not just streaming Netflix or something. Especially if you have anything else going on. It bugs me. I've seen gaming machines, things that are called a gaming machine with 8 gigs of RAM.
Yeah.
You need at least 16.
Yeah.
You know, and with like outdated or just really cheap graphics cards. And you know how some of them will get around it, Jason? Entry-level gaming machine. But they don't make it real clear what kinds of games it will run. And what I don't get is a computer that is intended specifically for gaming, I think, is one that is up to snuff to play like pretty taxing AAA recent modern games. This is coming from somebody that doesn't even play a lot of games like that. But I don't understand what the point is of calling a thing a gaming machine if it doesn't do that, because anything else is just a computer. Like, every computer can run some games, right? So riddle me this. Does it make sense to call your computer an entry-level gaming machine if all you can do on it is emulate 16 to 32-bit consoles from the 90s? No! Any computer can do that!
Yeah.
Right? That would be like if I were to call a machine I don't know, I just think this is a side rant, sort of, but I also think it's dumb to call your machine specifically like what it's for if it doesn't have anything special that does that better than anything else does. Like, you could call anything what am I trying to say? a like graphics machine, right? Like a machine that's intended to make graphic art or something. You can call any computer that. Every computer will do that. They don't all do it well. They don't all do it without crashing. But every computer is a gaming machine. It might be crap at it, but they can all sort of do it.
Yeah. Hayden Spring says, when I hear gaming machines, I think of gambling.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I just think it's misleading.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. I think it's anti-consumer. I think it's unfair to say that. You know, it would be like, okay, you know what it is? It would be like calling a car or I guess I should say like an SUV that didn't have 4-wheel drive, an off-road vehicle.
Yeah.
It'd be like that.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it technically can drive off-road. Do you want to do that with it? Probably not.
Yeah.
So yeah, quit that, because you're getting people that have no idea what they're doing, and I'm really empathetic to this because I don't know what I'm doing, or I know a little more than now that I used to, but like, it's easy to hoodwink me into thinking that a thing can do more than it can with lingo like that. That's why it bothers me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, don't mislead people and say this is what it does if it can't do that. Yeah. That's what I don't like about it. So anyway, that's my rant. I get the sense from the chat that nobody else has really had this problem.
No, they're just quoting SpongeBob.
Right with the Sky, gaming laptop that only runs Solitaire and Candy Crush. Yeah, exactly. And I'm seeing that like everything is called a gaming computer, and it's like it also makes it look like the only thing anybody wants a computer for is gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I ended up doing was actually bought a pretty good gaming machine because what I do requires the same things that a gaming machine can do. So that means that I actually can play a lot of stuff that I couldn't play before, which is exciting. I want to keep testing it and see what it can handle. I want to see if it'll play like the new RoboCop and stuff, because I think it can. Because if it can do that kind of stuff, it means that I'll never have to buy a PS5 or a Xbox Series system. Because there are some things that are finally going to come out in the next couple of years that I'm actually really going to want to play, and I don't want to have to buy a $500 system to play them because I'll hardly ever use them.
Yeah, and if it actually successfully runs...
Thank you, Braden.
And if it successfully runs RoboCop, I might think about getting Spider-Man 2 as well.
Yes, which comes out in like 15 days.
Yep.
On Windows. And if I do that, I'll stream it, or I'll at least stream some of it. Spider-Man and RoboCop maybe too, but yeah, I haven't played Spider-Man yet. I didn't want to buy a whole machine for it, but I would get it if I could run it on PC, and I'm pretty sure I can at this point. Hayden, Jason, I legitimately don't know what you're referencing. The youth is fascinating.
Oh, I was referencing something in the chat.
What was it? What was it?
I was talking about someone said that they were gonna play their 90s math games, and I went, welcome to Baldi's Basics in Education and Learning. That's me.
The irony there is what Jason is referencing is quite a bit older than you are.
It's actually not.
No?
What I'm referencing is actually a game that I grew up with. That
going
back to like 90s math.
Oh,
games.
sorry, I thought it actually was 90s math games.
No.
Okay, all right.
But it was making fun of like Sonic Schoolhouse and stuff.
Braden says that's why I moved over to PC. I think a lot of people did that.
Yeah.
Because the new systems have been so slow to have much of a library. And a lot of what they have released have just been in the same, like, 5 major franchises, or have just been a lot of remasters and collections. That's been this whole generation. It's just a lot of remasters and collections. Ride the Sky, I didn't know what kind of gaming computer I wanted until I saw the Steam Deck from Valve, a game software company, but it's Linux desktop/handheld hybrid. And see, my thing with the Steam Deck is... I love the Switch, and that's been good enough for me. Like, it has just the kinds of games I like to play. So there hasn't been enough on Steam that I felt like I would need a handheld version of. But the Steam Deck does the same thing the Switch does, if I'm understanding it right, where you can also connect it to your TV and play it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know if this will make sense to anybody, but I need to try more stuff on Steam, just to even like know what I would want to play that I can't get on Switch. So if I, with my new gaming computer, played stuff on Steam and started building more of that library, I would be more likely to then get a Steam Deck.
Yeah, because you already have a big library. If you
because then I've got this great library, and I could take it with me on trips, and I could play it on TVs.
Yeah.
And so I would probably do both. I'd probably play here and there.
Yeah. Everybody.
Well, we're past 2 hours now. Everybody, thanks a bunch for watching. I hope y'all had a good time. Jason, that was a riveting quiz. It was really good.
Oh, thank you. You got really close this time.
I did. I just like I couldn't think of Green
11.
Lanterns. I can't believe I couldn't think of Jon Stewart.
Oh.
Braden says I should try Faith the Unholy Trinity. Which I don't know anything about.
Not heard of that.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I finally started playing Bayonetta. I'm enjoying that.
Survival game.
I know that's ancient, but
that looks
I'm
creepy as heck.
Ooh.
It's classic 8-bit gaming and the satanic scare of the 1980s.
Well, take my money.
This
that
game
sounds
uses
great.
retro graphics similar to the graphics of an Apple II or Atari 2600.
Crazy. I'll have to check that out. Okay, well, Jason and I have got to get going. We're working on movie stuff. We've got our last big shoot this weekend for the Superhero Rewind movie, and we were hoping to finish shooting by the end of last year. We've still got a little bit of straggling stuff, and we'll have some pickups and things to shoot over the next month or so, but we're really close. And I've got a rough cut now of the first half hour. I've gotten into the editing. Now that I've got a new machine, I've been able to get back to that, and things are going well with it. I don't have a release date yet. I can't promise when it's going to come out. I'm going to be no pressure on Wendell, but I'm going to be a little bit at the mercy of my composer, because it'll take him a while, of course, to get the music together. I'm going to be editing and tweaking for a while, so middle of this year sometime. I'm hoping. I really hope this summer we can get it out.
Yeah.
I hope we don't have to wait all the way till fall, but it will. I can say pretty much with certainty it'll be this year, but I want to say not past August, but I don't want to promise anything either.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you again real soon. I was Captain Logan.
And I was Jason.
Everybody have a good night. Hope to see you for more videos here this week. Stay tuned. We've got a commentary tomorrow night on The Lighthouse, and then Friday night we're going to do a rewind commentary finally on The Return of Captain Invincible, and another Batman '89 commentary on Sunday. So look forward to all the nonsense. We'll see you soon. Bye, folks.